Do you ever find yourself in a cycle of conflict and makeups in your relationship? It can be emotionally exhausting. My name is Valerie Rivera, and I'm a clinical therapist in Texas that specializes in couple strengthening. Today, I want to talk to you about some unhealthy behavioral patterns that you might be experiencing in your relationship, and we'll talk about what we can do to strengthen your connection with your partner. The most common unhealthy behavioral patterns are ineffective communication, becoming hyper-focused on the negative, and emotional disconnect. Okay, so let's talk about what is ineffective communication. Let me tell you how this affected my own marriage. I married my husband when I was 24 years old. Looking back on the beginning stages of our marriage, I often struggled to communicate my feelings of hurt and disappointment with my husband. Check out my video on trauma that will tell you more about how this happened. But when I didn't feel my needs or expectations were being met, I would begin conversations by blaming my husband or criticizing him. This is what we call a harsh startup. At the time, I didn't realize that I was slowly causing a disconnect in my marriage. Not being able to effectively communicate with him created turmoil because these issues went unresolved, which was leading to a higher probability of ruining our marriage. I refer to Dr. John Gottman as the guru of couples therapy because of the many years he has spent researching relationships. He has discovered that there are 4 styles of communication that are detrimental in relationships. The first is criticism. We blame a problem on a personality flaw in our partner. It may sound like you're always late, or you never remember what is important to me. Always and never are generalized terms that encompass all or nothing behaviors and interactions in your relationship. This is dangerous territory, people. The second is defensiveness. We tend to assume the situation we're in is because of our partner. This defensiveness shows up in the way we communicate with our partner. We deny any personal responsibility for the issue and deflect everything onto them. We attack them, and it becomes a tug of war between partners, and we wait for the other person to drop the rope so that we can win. The third is contempt. We verbally attack our partner through name calling or with our demeanor. We mock them, we roll our eyes, or use sarcasm. I'm guilty of this when I feel irritable. This is the ultimate disrespect, and it creates anger and frustration. The fourth is stonewalling. We shut down because we're flooded and overwhelmed with so much emotion. We don't talk, we walk away, and we don't give any verbal signs that we're listening. Once these 4 patterns of negative communication dominate the relationship, we become hypervigilant. We're always ready for a fight. The second unhealthy behavioral pattern is hyper-focusing on the negative. We filter out any positive in our relationship, focusing on the negative that will validate our thoughts and our emotions based on the storyline we've created in our heads. We brace ourselves for the next fight, and what happens is we no longer see the positives in our relationship. Our mind begins to feel threatened by the very person we love. This creates what we call a negative sentiment override, which is where we override anything positive our partner does for us. We tend to distort the way we view our relationship and look at it, and even our partner, in a neutral or negative way. It's not something we consciously choose to do. It's something that builds up over time because of how we begin to lose trust in each other. As I hyper-focused on the negative and continued to communicate poorly, the distance between my husband and I began to increase. It felt like we were no longer connected to each other anymore. It's like I wanted to love him, but I didn't know how. And it just became easier for us to be apart. Can you relate to that? This brings me to the third unhealthy behavioral pattern. We no longer see ourselves as part of the relationship because we have learned that it's easier to avoid than to put emotional energy into it. It may look like we may no longer trust each other to fulfill each other's needs as there is no sense of connection. You don't feel supported by your partner, and you can't go to them and discuss these thoughts and emotions as there is an emotional injury. This impacts the way you have fun and build your life together. It feels as if the future doesn't matter because it's so distorted from the hurt we've created in our own relationship. All this leads to a lack of satisfaction and passion within your relationship, and a lack of quality in how you live your life together. One or both partners may feel lonely as you're not getting your needs met. There's two things I would recommend. We have to mend all of the hurt and create a dynamic that allows for conversations that help us develop shared fondness and admiration for one another. We need to create a level of friendship before we can re-engage in a romantic relationship. So, I invite you to envision what your ideal date would be and what your ideal life together would look like. Many couples say they want to have fun together and talk about their future, hopes and dreams. The All About Us book is a tool I recommend couples purchase and go through together because it feels like you're dating again. You can take it a chapter at a time over a dinner date and notice the genuine laughter and connection that comes from it. The second thing I recommend is to hire a therapist. It's important to have a professional guide you through the hard work you'll both have to do to feel loved, respected, and satisfied again. If you're interested in couples therapy with me, this is what the process will look like. First, we'll jump on a free 15-minute telephone consultation that will help me understand what you and your partner are struggling with. I'll answer any questions you have to help you determine if we're a good fit. The first session together will include a couples assessment. I'll ask you and your partner questions that will give me good insight into the nature of your relationship. Next, each of you will meet with me individually. It's important for me to know who you are outside of this relationship. This helps me tie the whys of thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. Believe me, your past experiences have a lot to do with your current relationship. And finally, an in-depth questionnaire will be provided to you and your partner, which will provide insight to the strengths and challenges in your relationship. This will be used as our guide throughout therapy. There is hope. You can begin the journey to regain trust, strengthen your commitment, and emotionally reconnect with each other. Relationships are hard work, but together we'll be able to explore the root cause of the issues you're having in your relationship and work towards healing. I can help you both become friends again, learn to manage conflicts when they arise, and help you focus on the positive. If my personal story resonated with you and your current struggles, and you're interested in learning more about how I can help you and your partner feel love again, contact me for your free 15-minute telephone consultation. Let's start creating a space for healing and connection together.